There are moments in Scripture where heaven doesn't simply speak, it reveals. The opening of the 7 seals is one of those moments, a scene in the heavenly courtroom where the Lamb begins to unfold God's plan for the end of the age. Across history, interpreters have approached these seals in different ways. Some see them as symbolic, others historical, and many view them as future events. But most agree that the seals describe patterns that appear throughout time and intensify toward the end. When the first seal opens, a rider on a white horse emerges. He looks pure, peaceful, even righteous, yet he is not Christ. He represents a false peace, an imitation of truth that appears holy but is rooted in deception. He carries a bow without arrows, conquering not through force but through influence and persuasion. In every generation, movements and ideas rise that look noble on the surface, but subtly lead people away from truth. The end of days does not begin with violence, it begins with deception. A peace that is not truly peace, a unity that has no foundation in God. When that illusion fades, the second seal opens. A rider on a red horse appears, and peace is taken from the earth. This is not only war between nations, it is conflict that rises from within societies, between communities, cultures, and people groups. Jesus warned of this in Matthew 24, nation against nation and kingdom against kingdom, describing tension between ethnicities and communities as much as between nations. We see patterns of this throughout history: political division, social unrest, mistrust, and the breakdown of dialogue. But this seal reveals something deeper. Peace is not destroyed, it is withdrawn. And when God removes his peace, even briefly, the true condition of the human heart comes to the surface. The end-time narrative is not driven only by physical conflict, but by spiritual shifts that change the atmosphere of nations. When unity fractures and trust collapses, the world becomes vulnerable to the next seal. When the third seal opens, a rider on a black horse steps forward, holding a pair of scales in his hand. The image is simple, yet it carries a heavy meaning: scarcity, imbalance, and the shaking of the world's resources. A voice declares that a full day's wages will buy only a small measure of wheat, enough for one person, not a family. This is not just famine. It is the collapse of systems that people once trusted, the rising cost of necessities, the widening gap between those who have much and those who have little. Throughout history, we see this pattern repeating in different forms: currencies weakening, supply chains breaking, nations struggling to sustain themselves. This seal shows us how fragile human structures really are and how quickly the foundations of everyday life can shift. Yet, in the midst of this shaking, a limit is set. A voice says, "Do not harm the oil and the wine." Even in judgment, God preserves what he chooses to preserve. It is a reminder that he is still in control and that the shaking serves a purpose. The black horse reveals the consequence of a world already wounded by deception and division. A world where peace has been withdrawn and stability is slipping away. And as scarcity deepens and systems weaken, the fourth seal reveals what comes next. When the fourth seal opens, the final rider emerges, a pale, sickly horse, and the one who sits upon it is named Death. Hades follows close behind him. This is the natural consequence of the previous seals. Deception leads to division, division leads to conflict, conflict leads to scarcity, and scarcity leads to death. The pale horse is not sudden destruction. It is accumulated loss, the death that follows famine, the collapse of systems, the vulnerability of weakened nations. Authority is given to this rider over a fourth of the earth, a reminder that even in judgment, God permits only what he allows, and nothing more. And then the fifth seal opens. John sees the souls of those who were killed for their testimony, crying out beneath the altar in heaven. They ask how long it will be before God brings justice. Their cry is not one of despair, but of longing, a longing for the world to be set right, for truth to prevail, for righteousness to be seen. Each of them is given a white robe, a symbol of honor and rest. They are told to wait a little longer, until the full number of faithful witnesses is complete. Even in heaven there is a divine schedule, and God moves according to his perfect timing. When the sixth seal opens, everything changes. The natural and supernatural collide. A great earthquake shakes the foundations of the earth. The sun becomes dark, the moon turns the color of blood, and the stars fall from the sky. The heavens split apart like a scroll rolling open, and every mountain and island shifts from its place. This is not symbolic language. This is the earth responding to the presence and power of God. Kings, rulers, the powerful and the poor all hide in fear. They call to the mountains and rocks, begging for cover from the face of the one seated on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. The question echoes across creation. Who is able to stand? And then the seventh seal opens. But instead of chaos, instead of sound, instead of movement, heaven falls silent. For half an hour, no voice speaks, no angel moves, no sound is heard. This is the silence that precedes judgment, the stillness before the trumpet blast. A sacred pause in the throne room of God as heaven prepares for what comes next. The 7 trumpets are placed into the hands of angels, and the next phase of God's plan begins. The seals have revealed the progression of a world drifting from truth, and the trumpets reveal the consequences that follow. There is a pause before the throne of God as heaven prepares for what comes next. Heaven, a place filled with unending worship, thunder, voices, and movement, suddenly becomes silent. Scripture says there was silence in heaven for about half an hour, a brief moment, yet filled with unimaginable weight. This silence has deep meaning. In the Old Testament, silence often marked the moment when God was about to act. It mirrors the sacred hush of the temple on the Day of Atonement, when the people waited in stillness as the high priest entered the Holy of Holies. It also reflects a moment when the prayers of God's people rise before him, and all of heaven pauses as God prepares to answer. The silence is not emptiness. It is anticipation, a holy pause before the next phase of God's plan begins. A stillness that reminds us that the judgments to come are not chaotic or uncontrolled, but deliberate, measured, and carried out by the righteous judge. Heaven grows quiet because God himself is about to move. Then the 7 trumpets are placed into the hands of the angels, and the next chapter of Revelation begins. The seals have revealed the progression of a world drifting from truth, and the trumpets reveal the consequences that follow. Thank you so much for watching today's teaching. I pray this message blessed you, strengthened you, and reminded you of the greatness of our God, the one who holds the future in his hands. If you've been encouraged, please take a moment to subscribe, like, and share this video. Your support helps this message reach even more people around the world. And don't forget to visit our website. The link is in the description below. There you'll find more teachings, resources, and uplifting content to help you grow in your walk with God. Before you go, I want to speak encouragement over you. May the Lord keep you steady. May his peace surround your home, and may his presence guide you in every season. No matter what you're facing, remember, you are never alone. God is with you. Thank you again for being part of this journey. I appreciate you, I'm praying for you, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. God bless you. Words are like a seed. When planted in the heart, they carry the power to grow. But when words are harsh, bitter, or false, they poison the soul. They crush what could have grown, leaving only brokenness. But when words are spoken with kindness, love, and truth, life begins again. Hope takes root, healing blossoms, faith flourishes. So choose to speak life, because words shape the future.